my camera situated here, folks. Let me know when you join us. We're here on a lovely Thursday night in East Texas, land of the big bass. Looks like, oh, there we go. We're starting to get some folks in. Awesome. J Laugh, first one to drop a comment. Appreciate you being first, J Laugh. We can always count on you to be on time, buddy. Let's get it. Let's get it. Bass Fishing NYC, John Kincaid, Troy Hicks, William Poppenhusen, Blake Horton, Raging Cajun, 1982, The Good Cove Fishing, Seabach, Tanner Winsman. Almost caught up. Dusty Newton, there's another one. You guys are coming in. You might say you folks are coming in a little bit hot tonight. It's hard to keep up with all y'all. Timmy Rhodes, I see you down there, big dog. Appreciate you as well. Let's talk about bass fishing in a beautiful, beautiful time. There's a little bit of love in the air. There's a little spawning going on. Some sight fishing going on. Some other really fun patterns going on. Like, there is some ways to catch some big fish right now that is a whole lot of fun. Water temps are still kind of cold. It's not just like lights out every single day. We do still have our days when we struggle a little bit of a grind. But most days, at the end of the day, you look up and you've caught a pretty good bag of fish right now. And there's a lot of giants getting caught. And I mean a lot of giants getting caught. We have not broke the double-digit mark in my boat. Last year we had done broke it 2 or 3 times by now. 4 or 5 a year is kind of standard. I think I've had 4 the last 2 years in a row. But we just haven't got there this year. One thing you can count on, though, we're not going to stretch it. If it's a double digit, and if I say it's a double digit, it's a legit double digit. We ain't stretching no truth. We've had several 9s this year, a couple here real recently. It's coming, I hope. You never know. Those fish are so rare and so freakish. You never know if it's going to come for sure or not. But sure hope it's coming. Looking forward to the day. Pimping ain't easy, but Billy makes it look like it is. That is a lie. That is a lie. But I like it. It's one of my favorite lies I've ever heard. So let's get off into the baits, man. Most of you guys know I'm doing a lot of sight fishing. So we'll start off right on that. Bait I want to talk to you guys about that I really just kind of here real recently, like in the last few days, have kind of gone to on the bed fishing is from a line of baits that I've actually been asked about quite a bit. Okay. Show you guys a couple things about this rig. The first thing I want to talk about is the bait. The bait I'm using is actually the Googan Baits Bandito Bug. This thing has little swimming flanges. I need to get myself a little more slack out of here. Hold on just a minute, folks. Get a little more slack here. There we go. Alright, the Bandito Bug. So you guys can see it. This is the all natural color. It's like a little brim looking color. Got a little green, a little blue flake. All these appendages have like swimming flanges on them, and they all move with very little water pressure, like minimal water pressure. That makes this little bait extremely good for bed fishing because just the lightest little shake makes that thing sit there and go crazy on them. And that, like, this to me is probably the very best bed fishing bait I've ever seen because of how easy all the appendages moves, how much action, how much movement it has. It is an absolute killer on beds. Googan Baits Bandito Bug, 1000% think this is a great little creature bait throughout the year, but for bed fishing, oh man, like it's really good. Now, another little trick. Some of you guys may have seen this from me before on a bed. A bead, if you can hear that, let's see if I can get it to make the noise. That little clicking noise, when it's on a bed and you're sitting there shaking that rod and those appendages are doing this and then you add in that click, 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 that's a big deal on a bed, guys. Like a big deal. One thing that I like to do, actually, old Lunkers TV, Mr. Googan Squad himself was showing me this and I like it. I thought it was a good idea. I never used to peg my bed fishing baits because I wanted that weight clacking on the bead. But now, just peg it with the peg, just, a little bit above the weight there, as you can see, and now it almost keeps it clicking even faster because it bounces off this as you're shaking it, and you can even tighten it up some, get it down here, and it makes it click real fast, which is exactly what you want on the noisemaker in a bed. So some top secret advice on the bed fishing deal there, man. That's it's working real well. We're catching a lot of bedfish right now. We're doing a lot of sight fishing. You can't even see that many of them because the water's still kind of dirty. Not all of them are up yet by any means. So, there you go. That's my bed fishing deal. Now you guys know how I'm catching my bedfish. All of it. All the details. The hook I'm using, in case some of you guys are wondering, I've actually got a prototype hook that I'm using. It's kind of a new shape. It's a cross between a round bend and an EWG. It's got a different style to it, and I really like it, but it's not coming out for a while. But when it does, I'll be sure and let you know. I would use a straight shank flipping hook if I wasn't using that new prototype. In fact, mostly I have been using a straight shank flipping hook, but I've been trying that hook out here recently. All right, next bait. Folks have been asking me when this deal is going to kick in. Well, it's kicking in strong now. The Smash Tech Poacher is 1,000% getting some great bites on secondary points and some main lake points if you want to fish the shallow bed, shallow point, shell bed type deal with the wind and the loons. Like, this is a great bait for that, but it's also a great bait just on some windy secondary points inside the areas where they're spawning. All those wind blow points, fish are stopping on those as they come in and out. And that bait right there will catch some monster bass for you. Now, I grabbed this because it was laying there in my boat, easy to grab. I am actually not using the flashy swimmer. I'm not using the belly weighted hook. I'm actually using a weightless 8/0 hook. And I'm actually tying, I'm using about 7 or 8 of the lead storm strips. Putting quite a bit of lead on there. It'll kill fine with just a couple lead strips. But the deal is I'm actually wanting a little bit of more weight on there because I'm throwing it in the wind a lot. And I don't want it to sink as fast as this makes it sink. But I need a little more weight to kind of hold it down in that wind with that weightless approach. Next bait. Chatterbait. These, realistic, as you guys can tell, it's kind of got that silver faded. It's got some white on the bottom, but it's not like the hard white, just the plain white. Got a little silver, more natural color, a little flake in it, a little green flake in it. And the Smash Tail Junior in the smoke shad color, kind of a natural shad looking color, has been the best color for me on the 3/8 ounce chatterbait. Normally I just throw plain white or green pumpkin or something, but the natural shad color seems to be doing better than all the others right now. Can I say happy birthday to your friend Nick Gurr? Happy birthday, Nick Gurr. Hope you have a great one, bud. All right, and the fourth bait, guys, we'll go ahead and just mention it because, I mean, it's same old, but a 5-inch stick bait, you know, just the old Stinko, just a 5-inch stick bait of your choosing is a really great bait to throw every year in March on Fork. There's no doubt about that. It will catch fish, especially you get back in one of them calm areas or a calm day. Cinco or stick bait, whatever you want to call it, yum dinger, whichever one you like to throw. Great bait. Throwing it in something with blue. Black and blue or green and blue. It doesn't seem to matter, but something with some blue highlight. Bait number 5, and maybe the one that's the most exciting to talk about, folks. The old ribbit. It's time to get the frogs out, boys. They're biting them a little bit now. You're getting more blow-ups than you are hookups on this, but when you hook one up, it's usually a big one right now. So the frog definitely seems to be a player. The white one's the one I'm using the most. If it gets real bright and sunny out, I actually pull out the black one because it creates a real good silhouette in the bright days. But a little cloud cover, little wind, white frog, back in some of that flooded grass, flooded bushes, all that spawning stuff. Starting to get some real good bites on that frog. That's the top 5 baits. So, let's answer some questions. What rod am I using for the Bandito bug? It's actually a prototype rod too. Now, I would normally, what rod would I normally throw that on? I'm a little bit tired. My brain's not really working real well. This rod that I'm throwing it on is actually a 7.5 foot heavy rod. It's a new rod that's coming out from 6 Sense later in the year. It's really light. Like, that's a really heavy rod for that, but it's a really light, like the rod's really extremely light. So I'm kind of testing it out, feeling out what I can do with it, different techniques. But normally I would probably be throwing that on the 7.3 Heavy Lux series if I wasn't throwing it on this. In fact, I was throwing it on the 7.3 Heavy Lux series as well as that one. So my other sight fishing rod that I have rigged up is a 7.3 Heavy. So that's the rod. Billy, first off, thanks for all you do. Well, hey, Jerry Dean too, man. Thank you very much. Appreciate that, bud. With the cold temps coming this weekend, will the cold temps coming this weekend kill the bite that Fork has been producing the last couple weeks? It'll probably slow it down a little bit. I can't see how it wouldn't. You may have to slow down, go a little slower, back out off the bank a little bit. It may take some of those bedfish and pull them off the bank and kind of make them a little lethargic and hard to catch. Yeah, it could be a little bit of a grind this weekend, that's for sure. There are some, serious weather coming in with the cold and the wind. So y'all be careful out there. Don't run around too crazy. There's going to be some serious wind going on. There are rumors that Lake Fork has a major turtle problem. Are they eating all the bass? Well, here's the good. There's bad news and good news. That is a rumor. I'm nobody to argue with the people that are saying these things. But I will tell you this: we've called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and Leonardo and Donatello and Michelangelo and Raphael are all over it. They're going to come down here, take care of their brothers, get them out of the way. They understand. They're all bass fishing fans, by the way. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles like to bass fish. So, don't worry, Captain Ron. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles coming to the rescue. That's an inside joke for those of you that don't get it. It's actually really funny if you knew the whole story behind it. Glade had the club going up on a Tuesday this week. Yeah, Glade has been a party. There's been quite the boat show in the north end of Glade Creek here lately, with good reason. There's been a lot of really good fish up there. Have you ever noticed if the paint is badly chipped on a jig, does it hinder the bite? No, that just means your jig is broke in good and they like to bite it a lot. Keep throwing that jig. It does not hinder the bite one bit. I had, back in the day when Impact was coming out with their prototype jigs, I had one of their prototypes that I literally had zero paint left on it, and I caught a gazillion bass on it, so don't worry about that one bit. Do you ever fish a Zoom horny toad? Yes, and I've been throwing it some. Like, I've been throwing it around. It's not getting. I have had a couple fish chase it and blow up on it. I haven't caught anything on it yet. It's not really getting. It's a little cold for the horny toad for them to chase it down and eat it the way you want them to. But man, Lake Fork's got a lot of good areas that are set up really well for a horny toad with like scattered grass and bushes and all this stuff that's like really good to like cover water with a horny toad. As soon as these spawning bass start becoming post-spawn bass, I believe the horny toad will shine just fine. Really love the camo 6 Cents hat. How do I get one? Well, you go to 6centsfishing.com, go to their apparel and their hats. I love it too, by the way. Thank you very much. This was actually, this particular one with the flag patch and the tricolor camo was a Billy Lawson design, folks. I'm a fashion designer too, in case you didn't know. Not a real good one, but I am a fashion designer. I did pick out that patch with that camo. My boy Hayden down there hooked it up, so appreciated that to him. And now they actually sell this hat, I believe, just like this, with other tricolor camo hats with different type patches and all that. So, 6centsfishing.com, go there. They have a lot of awesome apparel. When you do go there, be sure you punch in the code, your Lake Fork Guide, on the promo box on the checkout screen. Get yourself a 10% discount on anything you order there. After one female is caught off a bed, will another one pull up and use that same bed? After she's caught off a bed, she's going to go right back to that bed, so no. It's pretty rare to see two females trying to use the same bed. That doesn't really happen. You'll often see a female using two different males' beds. If it's a really big female, I saw that today actually, where you'll have one female that's dropping eggs on two different males' beds. But as far as that, now, if you turn that female loose right there, look, listen, guys, I know when you catch the fish of a lifetime, you want to take it to the marina and you want to get it weighed and all that. When they're spawning, please put them back in the water. Please. It's these giant fish with these awesome genetics. We need all their babies that we can get, obviously, to keep the fishery going. Throughout the years, like it always has, there's a lot of people catching spawning bass off beds and taking them to the marina for 11 pounds. Just get yourself some decent scale. You can buy them Berkeley digital scales like I have for like $20, and they're really pretty dang accurate within an ounce or two. Man, weigh that thing in the boat and let it go, and it'll get right back on that bed and go right back to doing its job. So I would highly encourage, and now if it's a share lunker you want to turn it into the program, I got, that's your prerogative. Not my place to judge whether you should or shouldn't. But man, when they're spawning, if you're not trying to turn it into the program, if it's 10, 11, 12, please, 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 just put it back in the water and let it get on the bed. I mean, it's your fish to do with as you please, but that's my 2 cents worth on it anyway. What's the latest month you've seen fish still on beds? Early June around here. Early June. Hey Billy, what do you think about mini Carolina rigging for shallower water? I think it's a great idea. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I'm throwing more weightless stuff. I'm doing a lot of sight fishing, guys. That's the deal. We're catching some fish on a Senko, but I'm going weightless because I'm having the guy on the back of the boat just throw around a weightless Senko while my other guy's sight fishing. I think you can go slower with weightless, and we're going real slow when we're parked in one spot, flipping to a bed, and the other guy's fishing off the back. So we're going weightless. But if you're just going through a spawner area fishing it with a finesse Carolina rig, I think that's a really good way to go about it. Do you think throwing a chatterbait on straight fluoro makes that big a difference compared to fluoro leader or even straight braid? I throw it on braid when I'm ripping it out of grass. If I'm not ripping it out of grass, I want it on fluoro. The reason why is because it's easier you miss less fish. You lose less fish if you throw it on fluoro. That's the deal. Like the braid, you can pull it away from them. You can get in too much of a hurry and kind of skin hook them and not get them good on braid. You really have to baby that hook into them and kind of reel set it, ease into them like a crankbait if you're throwing it on braid. If you've got fluorocarbon on there and you got the right rod, you can kind of lean on them and do your thing, and you're going to catch most of them on a chatterbait with fluoro. So when I'm not ripping it out of grass, I do like to throw it on fluoro. Any specific tips for the new moon phase? Well, the new moon phase is going to bring in a whole new wave of fish. I think it's going to be a really big wave of fish, maybe arguably the biggest wave of the year. This first wave was really big because it's almost like the first wave never got to come in and they kind of stalled. And then there was like another wave that came in with the first wave. So our first wave was kind of a combo between what was supposed to be our first wave and what was supposed to be our second wave. And they kind of all came in together. So that was a really big wave of fish that came in this last week or two. Now, the new moon is going to bring in a new wave of fish, and I think it's going to be a really big one. The early April moon phase always brings in a really big group of fish around here. So that's it. You're just going to get, these fish are going to be wrapping up their spawning deal, and new ones are going to be coming in, and it's just going to be a beautiful symbiotic relationship of fish catching fun, basically. Coming to Fish Fork on Monday, how much rain do you think you'll be getting? I don't know, man. The forecasts are always wrong, especially this time of year with these kind of more violent systems that come through, going from warm to cold and cold to warm. Those always are kind of hard to judge. Right now, it's not forecasting too terribly much rain between now and Monday, but that doesn't mean it's not going to rain like a son of a gun. You never know. Came in late. How are you seeing beds? West Fork is real muddy. Well, how am I seeing beds? If you look right there, you'll see my amphibia glasses with the Baja lens. That's how I'm seeing beds. Those are the best sight fishing glasses I've ever owned. It's my third spring in a row using that particular lens. They're the best sight fishing glasses I've ever used, and they help me see a lot of fish that a lot of people don't see, to be honest with you. I used to have Costas. That lens, Costa can't hold its water. It's just way better. The Baja lens from Amphibia is the deal for day in, day out sight fishing. Do you bed fish with a wacky worm? No. I like something with weight. I like to be able to control it, place it right where I want to in the bottom of the bed, hold it there, wait till the fish noses up, shake it. Like I just need more control. I need more weight to be in more control of that bait. Where that bait is placed is more important than what bait you're throwing, what color you're throwing, or anything else when it comes to bed fishing. The placement of that bait and how long it stays there and when to pull it out, all that stuff is way more important than anything else. Five rods on the deck for shallow grass fisheries like Florida or California Delta. If I was fishing an all grass fishery, well, I definitely have a frog. I definitely have a weightless plastic of some kind. I definitely have a weedless swim bait, like the Poacher, not with this belly weight, but the weightless version with just a few lead strips to balance it out, or even the Smash Tech Convict, something like that. So definitely a weightless swim bait, weightless weedless swim bait. Definitely a frog. Definitely a weightless plastic. Definitely a flipping bait. And probably a chatterbait. So really, it doesn't change at all. My baits didn't change at all. It's the same thing that I'm doing here. I don't know. Maybe that's just the stuff I have confidence in. I'm having a hard time imagining myself somewhere else. But on the flipping bait, somewhere like that, it might be a punching bait instead of a flipping bait. So. Somebody said, can I talk about night fishing? I don't ever night fish. There's a lot of guys doing it with some real good success. But I'm not night fishing. I don't know anything about it. Go to them green lights. Lake Fork's full of these green lights at the end of the docks. I just look for those. I don't really know what to tell you because I haven't been night fishing in a very, very long time. So sorry I don't have a better answer for that. But I don't. I've been trying to keep up with the questions best I can. They've come in faster than I can read them and answer them. So if I missed your question, please drop it in again, and I'll be happy to try and answer it the best I can. Describe the heat in Texas in the summer. Describe the heat in Texas in the summer. Well, so it's kind of like this. Basically, you walk into a giant oven in the morning. It's like a lot of moisture. It's like real humid, like a humid sauna. And then somebody turns on the wind, and instead of being like a cool breeze, it oftentimes feels like somebody turned on the world's biggest blow dryer. And it just makes you even that much hotter. So that's kind of the description of the heat in the summer in Texas. If you're sight fishing, what changes after this cold front? Well, we kind of touched on this earlier. So when it gets real cold like that, like a 38-degree night, especially in the morning time, a lot of those fish that were on beds, some of them will stay. Some of them will stay. They might be a little harder to catch, a little more lethargic, but some of them will stay and still be catchable. But a lot of them will pull off that bed just outside of it. If you go real slow with like a drop shot or a wacky worm or some of that other like sissy pole techniques like a Ned rig or whatever, or a Nico rig, you can probably catch some like that out in front of where they were bedding, just on standing timber, whatever kind of cover's present. But as the day goes on, even though it's cold, as that sun, especially if that sun comes out, those fish will get back on that bed and start locking in. So that's kind of my synopsis on what goes on there. What temperature are you seeing most beds in? Lower half of the 60s, anywhere from 60 or 61 all the way up to 64, 65. "59-degree water, how do you attack?" Well, that's just not enough information. There's so many more factors that go into it. 59-degree water, if it just was 55-degree water, then I'm probably throwing a lot of baits like a trap or a jerk bait or a chatterbait, covering like drains and ditches in the spawning areas. Now, if it's 59-degree water, it just was 65, then the exact scenario that I just talked to you about backing out of the bedding areas and going real slow and finessey, would be how it would attack it. So, also need to know what cover is present. Like there's watercolor, there's a lot of factors that can change things. Is 6 Sense restocking the Lux series or changing to the new rod? There's 2 new rod models coming out from 6 Sense, and they're restocking the Lux as well. All that coming in the next few months from what I've been told. Are me and Mike McFarland fishing the same way right now? No. Mike is fishing main lake, shallow, wind-blown points, looking for birds like loons. I think that's what he's doing. That's what he usually does. That's from what I hear and what I've talked to him, that is what he's been doing. Mike's fishing a totally different fish that aren't going to spawn in for a couple weeks, and I'm fishing spawning fish. It's with totally different groups of fish that we're targeting. Now, the fish that Mike's fishing for right now, I'll be fishing for those here in the next week or two. And the fish that I'm fishing for right now we'll go back out, and Mike will be fishing for some of those along with the next wave that comes after that. So it's a totally different style, totally different target, totally different ball game altogether. And some days I win and some days he wins, and that's just the way it goes. How long does it take a female to heal up after the spawn? Typically, instead of heal up, I'd probably refer to it as recover, because there's nothing necessarily bad that happens to her when she spawns. She just gets real tired. That depends. It depends on the lake, depends on the bait presence. As you guys can probably figure out, some of these open-ended questions that y'all ask me, a lot of them, there's so many factors that go on in the water that you have to consider. Is there a bunch of grass there? Then she'll probably stay there longer. She'll recover quicker, but she'll stay longer because there's, adequate cover and food present. If there's no grass there, she's not going to stay very long at all. She may kind of rest for a few days to a week, and then she may go right back out to deep water and feed out deep. As far as how long it takes them to recover and get the feeding, man, usually not very long. I don't know, because there's so many fish coming and going throughout the spawn of these fertile fisheries that we fish around here. But I can't imagine, my best guess is I can't imagine it's more than, a few days or a week before she's fully recovered and back to feeding normally and doing her thing. Tardy to the party, but what it do, brother? What's up, Ben Show? Glad you joined us. Well, folks, kind of getting towards the end. If you got any last minute questions, drop them in. I'll try to answer them. Appreciate you guys joining us tonight. It's been a fun last couple weeks, man. I'm going to try to do better about staying on schedule with these on Thursday night. So fully intend to be back on time. We'll go for every Thursday night at 8 p.m. I think that's a good time slot for us. That gives me time to get home and get settled before we start this deal. So that's what we're going to shoot for next week as well. We got a free seminar tomorrow night at Lake Fork Marina, 6 p.m. Got a special guest coming, a guide that caught back-to-back double-digit fish on back-to-back days. One of them was caught sight fishing for sure. I think the other one was caught on a swim bait, but he's also the best sight fisherman I know. And we're going to talk about sight fishing, and we're going to talk about double-digit fish and how special they are and how you caught them and all that stuff. So, if you're in the area, please do come see us tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Lake Fork Marina will be there. I guess that's about it. Fish Life app. Oh my God. Fish Life app. How did I forget? Folks, there is some weekend anglers, some folks just like yourself that go out every weekend or go out when they can. They're using the Fish Life app and catching monster bass. There's been several double-digit fish turned in from people that are fishing the Fish Life app. So if you have been on the fence about it, maybe you want it, maybe you don't, please go check it out. Please do subscribe. I doubt very seriously that you'll be disappointed. That's all I'm going to say. Why is it spelled? Yeah, Fish Life is spelled with a Y. L-Y-F-E. Why do we spell it with a Y? Because it's the best dang fishing app ever created. Thank you guys for joining us tonight, man. Appreciate each and every one of you watching. Look forward to talking to y'all next week. And we'll see you next time right here on your Lake Fork Guide.